Hi everybody, my name is Colin. I go by FPSCollin on all my socials. That is YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I've been top 500 every single season of this game, including the beta. I have multiple accounts in top 500 at any given moment. I think the most accounts I've ever ended top 500 in a season has been 8, and that did take quite a bit of time, but it was worth the flex in the end. I'm a tank player, but I can play all 3 roles just as well. I've played for I think four different esports organizations, and I get paid to play the game professionally. I've gathered quite a few different tips for the game, and I was hoping to share one with y'all today in the hopes that you could put it to use. Now, let's get right into the tips. Today I wanted to go over some general aiming tips for the game. I'm going to keep things pretty comparative to Overwatch, so for those of you who came over from Overwatch or have ever played Overwatch in the past, this is going to resonate with you. If you're not an Overwatch player, it's probably still going to be relevant. I know most FPS games are similar to Overwatch in terms of like aiming and movement and that kind of stuff, so it's going to be similar to like Valorant or Apex Legends. I know a lot of people struggle with aiming in games like this because there's a lot of movement, both horizontal, vertical, as well as like aerial, right? You can fly around. Lots of characters can fly and jump and have crazy mobility, right? So I know aiming is a difficult part of the game for all ranks. So I wanted to highlight some key points of this game and the differences between it and Overwatch, and then hopefully you guys will start to see the patterns about how you can hit more shots. So the main thing that I want to point out that's going to help you aim is a fundamental that you need to understand. In Overwatch, characters, when you move a character in Overwatch, your character model shifts a lot more than in this game. So let me point out what I mean. If I AD spam on Mag, I'm spamming AD. My character model barely moves. My head like jostles just a little bit, but that's it. That's it. If I was AD spamming in Overwatch, my character would be fucking flying around left and right, right? So now it is character specific. Some characters like Groot, for example, they do shift a bit more. You can see him kind of like jostling around, right? His head's kind of bobbing back and forth. So some characters do shift a lot more than others. But generally, when you AD spam, you do not move anywhere near in this game as much as you do in Overwatch, right? So that means in Overwatch, it's harder to hit shots. Comparatively, in this game, it should be easier to hit shots. Let me highlight why. Because your character barely moves when you AD spam in this game, nobody AD spams. So what people do is they long strafe, or they do more drawn out AD spam. They don't tap AD like this to where your character doesn't move. They do it slower. They do a wider strafe, right? Or some people just straight up long strafe, and they'll do some little like fast turns like that. That's kind of all the movement you can do in this game besides movement abilities, right? Now you can use this to your advantage to hit more shots. Now I'm going to highlight this on Magneto and other tanks because I'm a tank player, but it is just as applicable to like every other character in the game, right? Now, if you think about how strafing works in this game, you move from one direction to the other in a long strafe pattern. So what that means is when you're watching these bots, they go from one direction to the other, right? Now, the easiest point to hit a shot is right after they turn directions. So you know if they're moving to the left, they're about to start moving to the right. And if they're moving to the right, they're about to start moving to the left. So what you want to do is you want to keep your crosshair not in front of where they're going. You want to keep it behind them so that when they turn the direction into your crosshair, you can just click on them. I mean, allow me to highlight what I mean, and hopefully I don't mess this up, right? So they turn direction and then you hit the shot. Turn direction, you hit the shot. Turn direction, you hit the shot. Turn, turn, turn. You basically hold your shots until they turn direction, right? And you can do this on any character. It's not even just a projectile character, but it is especially important on projectile characters like Mag or like Groot, right? Now, the only way they could mess this up is if they do a weird strafe pattern. Most people utilize it a bit, but it's only going to mess you up sometimes, right? That's a strafe pattern where instead of just going like this, they work in a little strafe to like break your ankles like that. Because you're waiting for the turn, you shoot right there, but then I don't actually turn. You know, that's what some people do. But if you keep your crosshair close enough on them and have a pretty good reaction time, it doesn't really matter. Because the second they turn at all, you're going to click and you're going to hit the shot. So this is one way this is one aiming method that you can utilize to hit a lot more shots, especially on characters that are typically hard to hit shots. It's important on Mag especially because you only have 10 bullets in your magazine, right? And your accuracy is super important on Mag, right? So you pretty much don't want to miss your target. This is, I mean, it's incredibly important for DPS as well. I mean, you can utilize it to hit the head, right? Just wait for them to strafe into your crosshair, and then you click. Now, this is one aiming method. I know there are a lot of aiming methods out there, right? Like if you're a very flicky person, you could just like try to flick on the target just over and over again, right? I find that exhausting, so I don't generally try and just flick, right? I'm a big track enthusiast, but tracking, you're always going to lose the track when they change direction in their strafe. So generally, it's only worth going for shots when they're in the middle of their strafe or right after they've changed direction. So hopefully you can utilize this in your games to hit more shots. I found it's extremely beneficial on the tanks that I play that are projectile, like Mag, Groot. I think Strange would be important for this too, because it's a mixture of tracking. And you can't really change direction where you're aiming, right? So you kind of want them to walk into your shots. And that's... It helps you hit a lot of shots, and hitting shots on tank is going to get you more kills. So it's pretty impactful. So I hope this was beneficial to you all. I'm live on Twitch every day at FPSCollin. Feel free to come in and ask me some questions. I throw out tips like this all the time.